You said it. Okay, let's make sure. Water on the right side. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Mincha begins on page 214. Page 214. Ashrei shuvitecha od yalucha salam. Tilat Adonai dever pi, v'yivarech kol b'aser shin kodesh le'olam va'ed, v'anachnu nevarech yam, ve'ata v'yad olam, hallelujah. Ba'at Zion goel, Yeshuv Hashem. Ata kadosh yishefti lod Yisrael, v'karzel zev yamar, kadosh, 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 atzvon, yavati lodev. Atisaini rak v'shmachar korash gadol, barak v'adonai mimkamo. Yiftechu v'chayedesh hamecha, ki lo asafta dorshecha Adonai, Adonaicha petzaman tzidko, yakvil Torah v'yadir, yadal v'yikdash shemei rabbah, v'yamad yivrak yirtei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon, v'yamechon, chayedecho v'Yisrael, v'galav v'zman kari, v'imru, amen, yesh v'rabban v'rach, le'lam u'me'el maya, Barach v'ishtabach v'itbar v'tram v'itnaseh v'itadar v'itlev v'ithlal shmeit kudsha b'rechu le'elam mikol berchata v'shirata tush berchata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Page 218 Torah service. V'ani tfilati l'chadonai ratzon Elohim baruch chastecha neni v'emet yishecha. Rabbi Shani, b'vakasha. Rabbi. Anybody in particular wants an aliyah this fine afternoon? Okay. Exciting news, we are starting the book of Vayikra. I'm excited, you're excited, we're all excited. Back in the weekday CDR on page 287, I don't know where it is in the Chumash off the top of my head, but
585.
585. תיגלה בתרמוכו תהלינו בזמן קרוב יכול פליטתנו פליטתם לישראל לכן חסד רחמים רצון ונאמר אמן. הכל הבו גדלינו ותנו כבוד לתורה יעמוד or תעמוד. You were talking with somebody. תעמוד הרב. חנן אורה. בת יהודה ושרה, ראשון ברוך, שנתן תורה לישראל בקדושתו.
ותמד ביקם לכם חיים כולכם היום.
ותמד ביקם לכם חיים כולכם היום.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. ויקרא אל משה וידבר אדוני אליו מאוהל מועד לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם אדם כי יקריב מכם קורבן לאדוני מן הבהמה מן הבקר ומן הצאן תקריבו את קורבנכם ממולה קורבנו מן הבקר זכר תמים יקריבנו אל פתח אוהל מועד יקריב אותו לרצונו לפני אדוני ושמח ידו על ראש העולם ונרצה לו לכפר עליו.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם אתה בתוכנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן.
אמן.
יעמוד. בנימין. משה. אברהם שרה השני.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן.
אמן. ושחט את בן הבקר לפני אדוני ותקריבו בני אהרון הכהנים את הדם וזרקו את הדם על המזבח סביב אשר פתח אוהל מועד והפשיט את העולה וניתח אותה לנתחיה ונתנו בני אהרון הכהן איש אל אש על המזבח וערכו עצים על האש וערכו בני אהרון הכהנים את הנתחים את הראש ואת הפדר על העצים אשר על האש אשר על המזבח וקרבו וקרעיו ירחץ במים והקטיר הכהן את הכל המזבחה עולה ישר ריח ניחוח לאדוני.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ya'amod. Rachamim. Rafael. Joshua. Benz. Zachariah. Leib Shlishi.
Baruch Hu es Adonai HaMarach.
Baruch HaMarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Marach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'na'asan lanu es toraso. Baruch Atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. ואם מן הצאן קורבנו מן הכזבים או מן העזים לעולם זכר תמים יקריבנו ושחט אותו על ירך המזבח צפונה לפני אדוני וזרחו בני אהרון הכהנים את דמו על המזבח סביב וניתח אותה לנתחיו ואת ראשו ואת פדרו וערך הכהן אותם על העצים אשר על האש אשר על המזבח והקרב והקרעים ירחץ במים והקריב הכהן את הכל והקטיר המזבחה עולה הוא איש ריח ניחוח לאדוני.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasan lanu toras emes v'chayei olam natah b'zochenu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Yamdu Magbiava Golelet. Please rise as Torah is lifted and dressed.
Nice and balanced.
Bezot Torah asher Moshe Livnei Yisrael Achi Adonai V'yad Moshe Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomchei hameshar Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomchei hameshar Bechol netivot shalom, derachah darchei Noah. Bechol netivot shalom, So anybody who's marking a yard site function should say anybody joining us over the internet ether?
Yeah, I have a El Male.
Okay. Who's it for, Brant?
My brother.
Okay.
You want his Hebrew name?
Yes, please. And why don't you give me his Hebrew name?
Achim ben Chaim Vahana.
Achim ben Chaim Vahana. El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamromim. Amtsem Enochanechona Tachat Kanfei Ashchina B'Malok Doshim Atorim Kizor Kiram Asirim Nishmat Achim ben Chaim Vahana Shalach Leolamo V'Gan Eden Tem Enuchataho Anabel Rachamim Astire B'Seter Knafach Leolamim Utzvor B'Torachim and Nishmataho Adonai Unachlataho Yanuach V'Shalom Al Mishkavaho V'Nomar Amen. Brent, do you want to say a quick couple of sentences?
Yeah, this is my older brother. He died of leukemia in 1973. He was 13 years old, about a month after his bar mitzvah. I've thought a little bit more about it since October 7th, only because of the fact that some of the most innocent conversations that you have with people turn out to be the most significant ones. Like if you say to someone, have a good time at the concert, and then they are a victim of terrorism. I had the occasion with my brother to try out for Little League, and I made a higher team than he did. And he was older and stronger. And I remember walking home and I said to him, how did this happen? Because you're a better player and all this stuff. And he said, my legs really hurt. And at the time, I didn't think much about it. But 2 weeks later, he was diagnosed with leukemia. And then 2 years later, he died. And sometimes I reflect on the fact that the most innocent of conversations you don't think much about, but they turn out to be really significant later on. So.
Thanks, Grant. Please remember you for a blessing on us.
Thank you.
Yeah, hallelujah, Shem Adonai, Kin Yiskav Shem Olavodo, Orar Teshamayim, Vayan Kirimo. Chatzi Kaddish, page 222. Ravi Krash, Me Rabba, Biamadi Rakute, Viamlich Malchute, Bechayachon, Uyamecho. Chaydacho Israel, Bagalav Zakari, Vimru, Amen. Ish Me Rabba Barak, Amo Meomai. Yiparak Vishtabach, Vitbar Vitram Vitnase, Vitadar Vitala Vitalal, Shmed Kucha, Brichu. Le'lam kol berchata v'shirata tushkata v'nechamata damiran ve'alma v'imru. Amen. In Chamidah, pages 223 to 229. You're still in the middle of your own Amidah. Please continue at your own pace. The Chazarah begins on page 223. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'levoteinu Eloi Avraham Eloi Yitzchak Eloi Yaakov Eloi Yisrael Eloi Rivka Eloi Rachel Eloi Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanara El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Kana Kol V'Zacher Chasdei Avot U'Mevi'u Goel Livnei V'Nehem L'man Shema B'Yava Melech Ozer Foked HaMashiach Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufoked Sarah Ta Gibor Le'Lam Adonai Mechayim Etimat Harav Le'Oshia Mashiv Haruach U'Morid HaGashem Mechokel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayim Etim B'Rachamim Rabim Somek Noflim V'Rofech Cholim U'Matir Asurim U'Kem Emunato L'Shnei Afar Michamocha Bal Gvorot U'Midom Melach Melech Meimitim Chayim Ratzmiach Yeshua V'Ne'eman Atah L'Chayot Meitim Baruch Atah Adonai Chayam Meitim Kadesh et Shemcha B'Olam Kishem Shema K'Dishim et Hobi Shmei Moram K'Katuv B'Yad Nevi'echa V'Kra Zeh El Zeh V'Yamar Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech Haaretz Kevodo, Li'umatam Baruch Yameru. Baruch Kavod Adonai Mimkomov, Divrei Kodechecha Katuv Le'Mohor. Yimloch Adonai Le'olam, Melech Zion, L'dor V'dor, Hallelujah, L'dor V'dor Negid God Lechol, Netzach Netzachim Kedushatcha Nakdish. Shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lemush leolam va'ed Kel melech gadol v'kadosh ata baruch ata Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh Ata echad v'shimcha echad u'mikamcha Yisrael go echad ba'aretz tiferet gedulah v'ateret Yeshua Yom menucha u'kedusha le'amcha natata Avraham Yagel Yitzchak Yiranen Yaakov uvanav yanuchu vo menuchat ava undava menuchat emet ve'emunah menuchat shalom v'shalva v'ashket v'avetach menuchat shlema she'ata rotze ba yakiru v'necha v'yadu ki meitcha hi menuchatam v'al menuchatam yakishu et shemecha Eloheinu v'Elahei Avoteinu ritzei v'nuchatenu Kadshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'ten chelkenu b'toratecha, tzavenu mituvecha, v'samchenu b'shuatecha, v'taher libenu l'avdecha be'emet, v'anchilenu Adonai Eloheinu, be'ava uvratzon shabbat kodshecha, v'anuchu Yisrael, mekadeshei shemecha, baruch ata Adonai, mekadesh ha-shabbat, V'tzer Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael v'tfilatam ve'ashev et avodah lidvir beitecha u'tfilatam be'ava tekabel b'ratzon u'tehi l'ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha v'techazena eineinu v'shuchal etzion b'rachamim baruch ata Adonai machazir shchinato letzion u'dim anachnu lav shadad Atov kilo chalurachamecha v'armachem kilo temu chasadecha me'olam kivinu lach ve'al kol amiparach v'itramam shimcha malkeinu tamid le'olam va'ed v'chol hachayim yodu chasela v'yalu et shimcha be'emet ha'al yishotenu v'ezratenu sela baruch ata Adonai atov shimcha lecha ulechana elehodot Shalom Rav al Yisraelcha ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel Tasim le'olam ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom v'tov v'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit v'chol sha'a b'shlomecha baruch ata Adonai hambarech et amo Yisrael v'shalom Tzidkacha tzedek le'olam v'toratecha emet v'tzidkacha Elohim ad marom asher asita gedolot Elohim chamocha tzidkacha v'harei mishpatecha tahom rabba Adam u'bema toshia Adonai Kadish Shalem, page 230. Gadal v'kadash shemei rabbah be'almadi v'rachiotei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yamechon Chayedecho b'Yisrael b'galav zman kari v'imru amen Yesh mirabam barat v'lam u'me'omaya Yitbarach v'ishtabach, v'yitbar v'yitram v'naseh, v'yitadar v'yitala v'yitala, shmeid gudsha, Rechu le'elam mikol rechata, v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram b'yom avimru, amen. Tikabal toton v'aton, d'chol Yisrael, kadam avon v'shmaya v'imru, amen. Yesh lamar abba min shemaya, v'chaim elenu v'kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'ramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Aleinu l'shebech lanu. Marva Yadam Hakola Aretz, Bayomu Yadan Echad, Ushemo Echad. Warner's Kaddish, page 232. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach yurtei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyamechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. V'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbam barach leolam omei omaya. Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmeid kudsha b'rechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam araba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Shukrak to Rosemary for laning. Thank you for reading Torah. We're going to go into Hirsch Hall for Seudah Shlishi. It's going to be a slightly different learning than usual. It is Addiction Awareness Shabbat. So rather than standard learning, one of the members of the Beit Tshuva community is going to share their story of addiction recovery in our learning addiction and recovery this evening. So we're really looking forward to having that as a part of our Shabbat experience together. Let's go get a little mash.
Unionized Resnick's nursery. Seven boats. Yeah, he has a nursery in Moscow. And 700 workers who have like 7 boats. Rest the hell out of them. People are going to do this. Work in the industry and got 150 workers to say that we're giving food relief from the government. Where we were that we were coursing out. So it's a big story in they have a very good communications person. I worked for a fellow you might have heard of. Yeah. So he's because they put out how they're not going to retaliate. They hired a union bus. So all this was a Jewish guy, millionaire. Why does these workers have to go to us to get food? You know, the very thought of it. Will we ever tell people they have to sign a card? Number one, exchange something, never. And two, everyone said I'm stupid. Decided they did something they don't want to do. They made 150 people confess like we're the fucking Soviet Union. You know? A lot. So I am pissed off about an organization goddamn rabbi in the country. Liz Resnick. How are you? Good seeing you. Atrocities. Never tell me this. You got a half-hour speech.
Maybe that's what they were looking for.
It was a great service today, as usual. She really did. Workshop.
We're building these.
I I've been there 22 years and nothing to do with it. A good rabbi comes. He's like, Lord, which is good. Now I can play it. But you know what? I'm really going to see anything that
The undisputed, inscrutable champion.
I am. I have. I think I have 7 straight.
Always just scratch their heads.
I know. Yeah. I tell them it's because I like math, which is true.
No, I'm not. You, the rabbi, is my son and some of his friends.
We're now in college. I've been doing it since they were in school.
Since they were trying to dodge the freshman.
Yeah, they started it Israeli kind of doing it. I've been doing it since I won. We've all been so we were back when we were
That was when it was raining.
they said
14.
I wanted to go. And once they got to I was like, okay, let's see. College to go for money. So then these were kids that were students.
I'm sure you're not.
NBA fantasy is like a much bigger. These seasons so much longer.
I come off of I made it. For somebody, she's an organizer.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I am.
Good read, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, good job. Oh, I already.
Hey, I'm Tennessee. Yeah. Good, how are you? I'm okay. Very similar. I don't think I've worn it since I like lived in the Midwest where there was real winter and I had to like be very dressed. That's fair. It's like one of the nicest pieces of scenario. It was a hand-me-down. My mom had a friend who was like a large woman who worked for Republic for many years. She had a ton of money. She was trying to impress her. So when she passed away, her sister was like, come look through her closet. So like basically it's like a whole like fully lined like when I lived in the Midwest and I worked in school, it was like we dress nicely here. Yeah, I definitely didn't wear it with like a animal print stuff. No, I love it though. It's a good. How are you? Busy. Are you enjoying it? Yeah. Okay, but like. Yeah, I'll make it. How about you? School. It's terrible. I have another year. Yeah. Relative to how long it's been, yeah. Yeah, no, most people I'm like, I'm almost done. I feel like you're and it's like, yeah, and then I'm not done. I'm like, done. It's like, we've gotten so close. Things are oh, like things are just quieter. Hey. Start with some tea. Yeah, how are you? Great. I was like, well, I know you. Less yelling at each other in class. So that's like an improvement over previous years. Yeah. Everything else sucks, but like. How's the newspaper? I think it's terrible. Oh, other people really like it. I don't do well with like sensory. And it's not just that. There's like no art. There's carpeted with like documents, art, story, and like religious stuff. There's not just
I see the cameras.
Fans over Zoom and in person.
We don't scare anybody.
What? To sharpest knife, youngest
Sharpest knife.
child.
Okay, move that there.
Your beverage.
And so just tell, is it too awkward to stand here? Is the person going to be standing or sitting?
You want to stand or sit? I'll move a chair over if you want to sit. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So wonderful to see all of you here. Some of you are here because it's Shabbat Mincha Sudan Shlishi. You're here every week, and that's what you do, and that's wonderful. Some of you are here because microphone. I'm being told to use a microphone. Yeah. Some of you are here because it's Sudan Shlishi, and you're here every week, and that's wonderful. Some of you are here because of this particular Shabbat, and that's wonderful. So whatever brought you in the building this afternoon, we're glad to have you here. This is Addiction Awareness Shabbat here at Temple Beth Am. And usually in this slot, we would learn Torah, something relating to the Parsha or an upcoming holiday. And that's good study, and that's worthy study, and that's important to do. Because of how we're situating this Shabbat a bit differently, we're going to have a different type of opportunity this afternoon. We're going to have a member of the Beit Tshuva community share her story of addiction and recovery. Because there is Torah and there is learning that can happen through our stories as well. Like Rabbi T and I were both talking about last night, we recognize that there's often a stigma around addiction in the Jewish community. And we hope that by sharing stories of addiction, by talking about how recovery is possible, and that by recognizing that through connecting with each other through points of vulnerability, there is actually greater strength and hope that we can find when we're offering those opportunities as part of a broader community-wide opportunity. So we're so grateful that Shtibel and B'nai David and Ikar and Adat Shalom and Sinai Temple and Bamidbar and Silvermint Estate and of course Beit Tshuva are all institutional partners for this weekend. That's a wonderful thing and shows that there is a broader communal awareness of these issues, and that again, hopefully by shining a light on some things that are often kept in the dark, we can address some of the issues that have plagued our community as it plagues all communities, in hopes that by working together, we can bring greater awareness and hope for sobriety and recovery moving forward. So I'll let our speaker introduce herself. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're glad you're here. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lisa. I am an alcoholic.
Lisa.
Oh, yeah, you know. Well done. I'm also a Jew. I was born in Dallas, Texas, to two Jewish parents, and I have an older sister. I was born in Dallas in 1981. I'll do the math. I'm almost 43. And I, shortly after being born there, I moved to Northern California. I grew up in a city called Los Altos, which is a suburb between San Francisco and San Jose, Silicon Valley. And I had a very, very normal childhood, I guess you would say, quote unquote normal, whatever that means. I was raised at actually Temple Beth Am was my temple, but in Menlo Park, California. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. And I was a, what? No? Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Is that better? Okay. I was, like I said, sorry. Yes, in Northern California, I was a very active child. I was a dancer. I was a soccer player. Loved school. Loved my friends. Kind of had the typical, average fun childhood. My parents were not addicts or alcoholics, which is sometimes a misconception that it is 100% genetic. They definitely drank. They were social drinkers. They very much enjoyed having cocktail parties, entertaining, having Jewish holidays at our home. So my introduction to alcohol was always a very positive connotation. It was adults having fun, laughing, enjoying each other's company. So I always thought that seemed really nice and fun and the very cool adult thing to do. My first drink was at my home when my parents went out for dinner and I had a few girlfriends over. It was actually my 13th birthday, I believe. And they let me have a sleepover and we got into their liquor cabinet and polished off a bottle of peppermint schnapps because that was the only alcohol that sounded appealing to 13-year-old girls. But it was fun. We giggled and okay, yes, this is why adults enjoy drinking. I can see this. So yeah, and then through high school, I think it was pretty normal. We would go to parties on the weekends and partake in drinking beer, maybe smoking a little marijuana, things that seemed pretty average. Until about the age of 15, when I was introduced, and again, I was a very typical teenage girl interested in friends and boys, how I looked. So appearances were big. This is when a girlfriend of mine encouraged me to try what she called speed, which is a much more glamorous, nicer name of saying methamphetamine, which I tried for the first time. I liked it. It made me energetic and bubbly, or I was a pretty bubbly kid, but it gave me a lot of energy and it made me not hungry. And I loved that. I thought, oh, this is kind of the miracle drug I've been looking for as a teenage girl to, be able to do my schoolwork and do everything, but also lose weight rapidly. This is pre-Ozempic days. This was exciting, right? So I lived this double life. I was still doing well, up all night doing homework and still active in school, and nobody really was the wiser as far as it went in my home. I was say I was spending the night on weekends at my girlfriend's house and would leave the suburbs to go to Oakland and go to raves and very dangerous situations. Now I realize at the time, but 15, 16, 17 seemed like the fun, cool thing to do. Fast forward a little bit, I was able to stop doing the hard drugs because I wanted to go to college and I wanted to get on with my life. And I was smart enough as a child to realize that this was not the way to live a productive, healthy life. I, was very much about appearances. I wanted to go to college and graduate, which I did. I went to Chico State, which was very much a party school, but it was all revolving around alcohol, which I thought was the safer bet versus hard drugs. I did go through Chico. I loved it. I graduated with a degree in media arts. I moved to Los Angeles, got a job as a production assistant, and was doing fairly well. Still pretty casually drinking. I was not alcoholically drinking until I entered into a relationship, which was not very healthy. He was involved. He actually was my parents' best friend's son from Dallas. So again, trying to please the parents, thought this was a great thing. But he was not a great person, and I was afraid to tell them that because I didn't want to ruin their friendship. So he was into hard drugs. I was not. To get off of hard drugs, a lot of addicts think it's the location keeping me high. So we moved from Los Angeles to Dallas. That did not stop him. But what it did do was send me into a pretty dark place. And so I turned to alcohol. He was a chef. He would go out all night, cook, do his thing, not come home till the early morning. And I would spend all night drinking to deal with my feelings and my depression. I was able to get out of that relationship far longer than I should have. It took about 5 years. Moved back to Los Angeles and realized I was an alcoholic. I had been spending 5 years burying my feelings in alcohol. And suddenly it wasn't a weekend thing. It was I need this every morning to go to work. I need this to function. This is how I feel normal. If I am not drinking, I feel weird. Whereas most people, the drink makes you feel a little off. Sober made me feel off. It was a very startling realization that I needed I needed alcohol every day to be steady, to go to work, to get through the day. So this was hard, and I never told my family. I was a people pleaser. This would look bad. This would hurt them. This would, really not go over well. So I ended up, again, fast forwarding, this continued. I met another man who was a nice Jewish man, and we got married. And all the while, I was continuing to drink and hide, and literally hide bottles places. And it's hard to be married and hide that much. So he quickly realized that this was a bigger problem than he knew. I drank and probably drank too much, but when he started finding bottles hidden in my closet, inside boots, inside jackets, this is not normal. So this is when he approached my family and it all came out. I went to my first rehab. I say first, not last. I went to my first rehab, and the first visiting weekend, he decided this would be a good time to come up and say he is asking for a divorce because he cannot be married to an alcoholic. Does not look good. His parents were very prominent doctors and Stanford, and this does not go over well. So that led me into a different kind of spiral of don't ever ask for help. This is what happens when you ask for help. You ask for help, they leave. It's bad. So this led to about another 5 years of me bouncing from wonderful jobs to suddenly losing them as quickly as I got them, because you cannot function, honestly, as a heavy drinker every day. And I was working at Facebook, and then I wasn't. And we've got these wonderful things happening in my life, and I destroyed them very, very quickly. And that led to, sorry, this is not a happy story, children, I apologize. But that led to more depression, That depression led to me realizing this is a serious disease that I cannot fix on my own. I didn't see a way out of it, and I essentially did not want to live much longer. And I would lay awake and pray for an earthquake or a natural disaster to take me away because I can't fix this and I don't see a way out. That led to me living quite recklessly, including driving recklessly, in getting multiple DUIs, driving under the influence, crashing my car and myself into poles and street lamps. And thank goodness I never actually accomplished what I was probably trying to do. And I never hurt anybody else, thank God. But I did end up in jail. And that was a place that you can't hide from your family and you can't keep that a secret. And that is when reality really hit. When I was sentenced to a year in county jail in San Francisco, I had a friend who told me about a place called Beit Teshuva, and that they have something called alternative sentencing. What that is, so I was sentenced to a year in jail. What the judge kindly did for me was say, you will serve 1 month of that in county jail, and you will serve the rest of that in a long-term residential rehab where you can get the help you need. You will also wear an ankle monitor for that year that detects alcohol. So I will be sure you will not drink for that year, because alcohol is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And it truly is. It gets you when you least expect it. So she made sure, this judge saved my life in many ways. She sent me to Beit Teshuva, and she allowed me to get that year sober with the ankle monitor. I spent that year at Beit Teshuva. How am I doing on time? Okay. I spent that year at Beit Teshuva, and really didn't have to focus so much on my sobriety because of the ankle monitor. I kind of met really great friends. I ran the LA Marathon, which is happening this weekend. I got my health back, but something was a little bit missing. I did that year sober. I left Beit Teshuva. I entered the workforce again. Then COVID hit. I'm going to fast forward so I make time. COVID hit, and I found myself isolated, working from home. Me and isolation didn't work so well together. I ended up relapsing, finding my world getting very small. I was working from home, living at home, not having my friends and coworkers to see me every day. I continued to do well at my job because I was a pretty functional alcoholic. But this time around, I said, I don't want it to be a crime or a divorce or something. I don't want it to take that for me to ask for help this time. So a few months ago, I went to my family and I said, I'm going back to Beit Teshuva. This is my choice. Something's wrong still. Something's missing. I'm going back to Beit Teshuva. I'm going to figure out what is missing and why do I keep having these patterns. So I returned, and Beit Teshuva, what they do is amazing. But this time, and last time, they give you a counselor, a therapist, and a spiritual advisor. And this time, my spiritual advisor asked, do you have a higher power? Do you believe in God? You were raised Jewish. See, I was raised Jewish, but not really. I really don't. And she kind of guided me through, let's suspend disbelief. I don't know if I believe in God, but let's pretend you do. Fake it till you make it kind of thing. And I really leaned into a higher power. And that's really what I realized was missing this time. That even if I am alone, I guess this is the moral of my story. Even if I'm alone, if I am isolated, I'm not alone. I have somebody I can turn to, a higher power. I don't think he's a big man in the sky, but I know I'm not alone when I can pray for strength and guidance, and that I don't have to do this by myself. I do have my friends. I do have my team at Beit Teshuva and my family who, through all of this mishigas I put them through, have stood by me and supported me in so many ways. But now I feel like I've found another piece to this puzzle that was missing. So I do plan to stay at Beit Teshuva. They let you, I mean, it is a year program. I plan to stay the full year to really get on solid ground again. And I love being here, and the service last night was beautiful, but I really, I think I've found that missing piece, I hope. And I hope that if any of you, if this disease or addiction, alcoholism, anything in any way has touched your lives or somebody you know, encourage them to ask for help, because if I had asked sooner, I could save myself 20 years of pain and my family. So talking about it is really important. I'm happy I can be here tonight to talk with you guys. I'm happy to answer any questions after this. My lovely friend Sarah is also a resident with me. Both of us are open to questions. If you have anything you have, don't be afraid. We've heard it all. We've seen it all. We've done it all. So I thank you so much for your time. Shabbat Shalom. Sure. Yes. Uh-huh. Mhm. Sure. Mhm. Mhm. Sure. Sure. Sure, yeah. What do I recommend? I I mean, yes, I would say if you're concerned, there's probably something to be concerned about. AA is a miracle worker. Truly is. It is the best. If you want to just say, I'd like to see what an AA meeting's like, I think it might be helpful for all of us. Maybe you can, if your friends tend to drink a lot, like just say, curious. Oh, I'm sorry. AA is Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a 12-step program. And it is anonymous. You don't use last names. You don't even have to introduce yourself if you don't want to, but it does walk you through the steps of admitting you have a problem is the first step, and it goes through steps of working with a higher power, of kind of figuring out the reasons you drink, resentments. You can eventually make amends if you feel like you've hurt anybody through your actions through drinking. And then eventually about helping your community. The 12th step is to help others in their time of need. So AA is a wonderful nonprofit, obviously, organization, and not judgmental. And a women's meeting is wonderful, surrounded just by women who are in the exact same. Some are very uncertain when they walk in those doors. It's a really safe place to check out, even if it's on a very minor level. Just it doesn't have to be a serious commitment. Just go to a meeting, and she might really connect or find something there that resonates. Correct. They're open meetings. That's correct. And it's online. You can go to, you can just Google AA open meetings, and there are probably a million in this town. So at all days and times, and throughout the day. Women's meeting, it says women's open meeting. It'll be very clear about that. So did you? Yeah, please.
One thing that they say with
Yeah, here.
Sarah, also an alcoholic.
Hi, Sarah.
Thank you. One thing that they say about alcoholism and addiction is it's kind of like a self-diagnosed disease, like really with a lot of other diseases, you can go to the doctor, you get a test, what have you. With alcoholism, it's much more like, is this acceptable to me? You know, is my level of drinking, my level of using, what's acceptable to me and what's not? And I think that for women, sometimes this is particularly difficult because a lot of times people will say things like, maybe if you just had a burger before we started drinking, or, you know, you lost 5 pounds recently, that's why it got out of control.
Or have white wine instead of vodka.
Yes.
You know, that doesn't.
And so to have friends who can say to somebody like, you know, if you're concerned that you might have a problem, maybe this is something that we can look at together, instead of just that like casual dismissal of, you know, oh, I'm sure it's not a big deal, because maybe it is, you know. And I think I too lost a lot of time with really wanting to believe that it wasn't a big deal when it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Say it.
Maybe one more question, and we'll wrap up.
Yes.
Other than growing up in a culture where there were no mind-altering substances available, which seems highly unlikely, do you look back at your upbringing or earlier life and say, oh, there's something that could have happened different that would have warded this off, without casting blame?
That's a great question. That's a hard one. Probably more discussions about, you know, it was a bit of a different time. I think I personally, I don't have children. I have nieces and nephews, and I know that my sister, probably seeing what I've been through, is much more open with her children than our parents were with us about just that open line of communication. How are you feeling? There was, like I said, in my instance, there was a lot of pressure on how I looked, and that seemed to be of utmost importance, and everything else was secondary. But I don't know that there wasn't a moment or a time, except that I was so concerned with not upsetting them, you know, that if maybe, and even, you know, there were definitely times where they knew, and it seemed more important to gloss over it than to really delve into what is the issue here. I just think communication is always going to be your best key with young adults or children.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. And I think like that closing point goes really well with what we're trying to do here right now and this weekend. So I'm glad that we can have a space where we can be talking more openly about this and helping call greater awareness to, you know, just the very real existence of alcoholism and addiction in our community, and also the possibility of healing and recovery. So thank you both for being here, and thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We're gonna say Birkat Hamazon. After Birkat Hamazon, we'll have Mariv back in the chapel. If you want to daven with a mechitza, back up in Pilch Hall. It will also be right after Birkat Hamazon. Anybody who had bread want to lead us in Birkat? Don't all volunteer at once.
Chaverai Nevarach. Yehi Shemana Baruch Miatzavi Adolam. Birshut Chaverai Nevarach. Eloheinu Shalchana Mishalom. Baruch Eloheinu Shalchana Mishalom. Tivachainu. Baruch Baruch Shemo. Baruch Ata Adonai. Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Hazan et Haolam Kulo Betuvo. Machain Machased Uvrachamim. Unoten Lachem Lechol Basar Ki Leolam Chasro. Uvtuvo Hagadol. Tamid Lochel Sarlanu Ve'alech Sarlanu. Mazon Leolam Va'ed Ba'avor Shemo Hagadol. Ki Uelz Anum Farnes Lakol. Umetiv Lakol Umachin Mazon Lachol Briotav Asher Bara. Baruch Ata Adonai Hazan et HaKol.
Okay, after Mari will join together in the chapel for Havdalah, and after Havdalah we'll have a couple of different sessions for additional learning and exploration and recovery. So we hope everyone will stick around for the next little bit as we continue to enjoy
Should I bring stuff somewhere? Trash for sure. Let me ask.
Coming back, if you're working, you're working.
Rabbi T, where's your shiur gonna be?
In one of these rooms, I'm not sure, either in the room next door, like it's all down here. So it's either next door or the one next door, like Trubisky.
Not in here.
I don't think it'll be in here. I don't. Yeah. You guys able to stay or? Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Yes.
We met her at prom. Still short one. Right, yeah. Can we bring someone back? Where's weekday narrative?
If folks can go into the chapel if you're doing art, we appreciate it.
We're there. Okay. We're gonna start Mariv on page 264. V'hurach u'michaper v'lo yashchit v'hirba l'shiva papa l'yir kol chamato Adonai Hoshia melchanenu meyom korenu Maharchu et Adonai hambarach Baruch Adonai barach le'olam v'hed Baruch et Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'orah Mariv Arvim My baby, I'm maybe that's my deal. When you've been there, and I thought, Shemo, I'll have it came to me, we'll find a little on my head. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamarim, Haravim. Avad on the beach, Israel, Chavta, Tarafi, Tot, Chukim, Tanavi, Mother, Ze'avatcha tosirin le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Adonai Elohim Echad, V'minah kol havakayim alenukehu, Adonai Elohim v'yein zilato, Anoch Yisrael Elohim. Malchut Toler Tankim Alehem, Bahoshev and Israel Chanishira, Simcha Rabba Vimru Chula, Micha Mocha Melim Adonai, Micha Mocha Nedar Bakodesh, Narati Lo Tosefela, Malchut Echara Uvanacha Bokeyam Lifnei Moshe, Leili Anu Ve'amru, Adonai Imloch Leolam Vahen, Venehem Arkiveta Adonai Et Yaakov, Ungealo Miat Chazak Mimenu Baruch Ata Adonai, Kahal Yisrael, Ashkivenu Adonai Lehinu L'Shalom, V'mitinu Makenu L'Chaim V'Fosle Shikrat L'Macha, V'yametet V'Nachon Shekhan L'Macha, V'yavtar V'Chalar V'Shmor Tzeitzenu Reinu L'Chaim L'Shalom Yatzav Yad Baruch Ata Adonai, Shomer Amo Yisrael La'ad. Baruch Adonai Lama V'In V'Yamein, Baruch Adonai Matzin Shechenu Shalom, Hallelujah. Ki hamel chutzachai hi oleo me'ad timloch bechavod ki hein lanu melech elehata baruch ata Adonai hamelech bichvodo tamidim lachon elelam vahed ve'al kol ma'asav. Chatzi Kaddish on page 269 followed by the Amidah, page 270. Make sure to add the inclusion for the end of Shabbat. יתגדל ויקדש מרבה, מהלמד דברה קריאותי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חונו וימלכונו בחיי תכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. וישמר המבורך ללמוד בימיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרם ויתנשא, יתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי קדושה בריחו, לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. If you're still davening your own private Amidah, please continue. As a kahal, we'll continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 279. Yitgadal v'kadash shmei Rabbah, mehamad divrak yirtivim lichmalchutei b'chayei chon v'yom echon v'chayei t'chol beit Yisrael, agalav izman karim v'imruhu amin. Yishmer v'barach v'lamoyim v'yibarach. Yitbarach v'yitshbach v'yitvar v'yitshmam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitala v'yithalal shmei kedusha v'ruchu lehilam min kol berchata v'shirata v'yishbechata v'nechamata damiran me'ama v'imruhu amin. V'hinu Adonai Eloheinu aleinu ma'aseh yadinu kodineh Le'el ma'aseh yadinu kodenehu. Yikrahen hive'enehu hibonochi b'tzara achaltehu ve'achmatehu orech yamin aspehu ve'arehu b'shuati orech yamin aspehu ve'arehu b'shuati. We turn back to page 216. Ve'ata kadosh yoshevti lo tisra v'karzal zav yamar kadosh 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 v'reitz v'melech haaretz kevodo v'lein tinidin v'yamrin kadosh Satisa hini rach v'shmachar kol rash gadol Baruch kavod Adonai mim kovod Adonai himloch le'olam va'ed Adonai b'chotei ויפתחו לך ידי שמך כי לא עזבת דרשך אדוני אדוני חפץ למנתיקו ידיל תורה וידיר. We turn back again, page 280 for Kaddish Shalom. Yitzgadal v'yikdash merabah mehamad divrak yirtimim lichmalchutei v'chayei chon v'yom echon v'chayei t'chol beit Yisrael b'agalav v'zman kariv v'imruhu amen. Yishmer v'barach le'lamei maya Yitbarach v'yishbach v'yitvar v'yitshema v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitala v'yithalal shmei kedusha v'rechu le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran me'amah v'imruhu amen. Tikabel tzotonu v'aton d'chol Yisrael kadam v'chon v'yishmaya v'imruhu amen. Yehesh Samaram min Shemaya v'chaim alinu v'kol Yisrael v'imruhu amen. Oh, say shalom mirav, hu yaseh shalom alinu v'kol Yisrael v'kol yishvei tevel v'imruhu amen. Alinu v'shavei chaton hakol, take it alal yatzer b'shit shalom tzaddik Katu v'ter tachanayim lach le'olam v'hed v'nehemar v'haya Adonai l'melech kol ha'aretz v'yom ha'hu Adonai echad v'shmo echad. Kaddish Yatom, page Mourner's Kaddish, page 282. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'almad divrak yirtei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael Ba'agala uvizman kari v'yimru amen. Heshmei Rabbah marach le'olam omei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudusha b'richu Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'ama v'imru amen. Yehi shalom rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom miramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We didn't do Havdalah yet. Oh. As we've been doing, we will conclude our service with Hatikva, which is on page. Do you know what page it's on? Oh, 447. I'm on the Land of Israel section. 447. Nope, not. 448 is on page 448, the bottom half. Kol od balevav penima nefesh Yehudi Minha ufate mizrach kadima ayin letzio Sophia Tikvatenu, Hatikva Bashnot Alpayim, Liotam Choshi Me'artzenu, Eretz Sion Yerushalayim, Liotam Choshi Be'artzenu, Eretz Sion, Yerushalayim. Thanks. Don't smell it early. Take a breath.
Don't smell it.
If there's smelling it, make sure it doesn't smell bad. I think we're waiting for upstairs.
I think.
I don't think
Rabbi Shapiro, are we waiting?
Yes.
Rabbi T, are we waiting? Yeah.
I think we're waiting.
He was right behind me.
Famous last words. Oh, well, this is a comedy show. Rabbi Shapiro.
It's like Marx Brothers.
Burning cats. Adonai Tzevaot
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei merei ha'esh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechol ben or lechoshach ben Yisrael amim ben yom hashvi l'sheshet yemei hamaseh. Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. Kodesh lechol. Adoteinu imcha, Zareinu v'chasreinu yarbe kachol, Ochavim alayla. Zareinu v'chasreinu yarbe kachol, Ochavim alayla. Eliyahu hanavi, Eliyahu hatishbi, Eliyahu hanavi, Eliyahu hagiladi, Eliyahu hanavi, Eliyahu hatishbi, Eliyahu hanavi, Eliyahu hagiladi. Bimhera yavo elinu Mashiach ben David. Bimhera yavo elinu Mashiach ben David.
Shabbat Tov, everyone. Shabbat Tov. Just don't know what's happening. If you are tired and ready to go home, we know it is late and we understand that. If you want to stay and learn with us and engage, we would love that even more. So what's going to happen is we're going to have 3 simultaneous sessions happening for the next 40 minutes or so. Rabbi T is going to stay in here. He's going to talk about integrating the 12-step AA with the 10 Commandments, so like a text study, both Judaism and AA. I'm going to be in the room one over there. I'm going to be talking about building a spiritual program. Whoever you are, spiritual program is something that can be good for you. And upstairs in Adelson Hall, I will be doing things that are being somewhat interesting. Rabbi T will be doing things that are very interesting. But upstairs, there will be a naloxone training. Naloxone, which is a life-saving medication that can save someone's life who is overdosing on opiates. If you don't know how to do that, or you don't know what that is, it's really important to know what that is and how to do that. So I really encourage folks to check out the
That was gone.
those are all going to be happening over
I will right now.
all right, 40 minutes or so, and then we'll briefly reconvene here to wrap up the evening. So Rabbi T in here, myself and Kopilov, a framing from Lior Bernstein of Bamidbar upstairs, followed by
8 o'clock. Good.
Shavua Tov, everybody.
Hey, Brand, thanks for chairing.